What's going on, everybody? This is Lance here, co-founder of BH Capital Enterprises and team leader of the Abacus Group. Team Mamba is the name of my team, and the Abacus Group is a system put together by its founder, James Tompkins, for the purpose of teaching Black people how to build generational wealth in the markets. So, I'm a little bit behind schedule on my videos this week. I've had a really, really busy week, and it just kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. So I'm going to try to catch up and actually get ahead. My goal really is to be doing my videos like a week or two in advance. But I haven't quite reached that goal yet, but uh, the plan is definitely there. And I wanted to, uh, well, I'm going to briefly discuss some things about cannabis industry and basically investing in yourself. So, those of you that don't know, in my business, BH Capital Enterprises, I provide some specialized knowledge, and what I mean by specialized is that I go beyond the core fundamentals when it comes to the stock market. So the Abacus provides you that core knowledge and some advanced knowledge as well, but I kind of branched off and I focus on teaching teaching people how to read charts and also the cannabis industry. And one thing that I learned quickly is that you really, really have to invest in yourself and try to stay abreast of the latest happenings in whatever you're studying, especially when you have people that are paying you for a service. And so when I left college, when I graduated from college years ago, I never thought that I would be paying hundreds of dollars for books on certain topics and things like that. I mean, I buy books for sure, but not super duper expensive books. And so I was looking for a resource last year that could give me sort of like an overview of the cannabis industry, tell me some details about, maybe each state and, what makes that state significant, their legislative process. And what I mean by that is where they are in terms of um, their legislative timeline when it comes to cannabis and legalization. And Marijuana Business Daily was, you know, if you follow the cannabis industry, you know that to be one of the main, more popular sources of information. Um, they host conferences multiple times throughout the year. I've been to their international conference, which was in Canada back in 2018. So, that was pretty interesting. Learned a lot. It was my first time in Canada. It was actually in Toronto, and just invested in myself. I spent probably a few thousand to make that trip and to take part in the conferences as a uh, not as a speaker or anything like that, but I was just uh, like everybody else in the audience, going to learn, uh, operating in some capacity in the cannabis industry, things like that. So they put out this book, um, and they update it, multiple times throughout the year. And so I looked into it. I was just like, let me see what kind of resources Marijuana Business Daily has. And so it turns out that they do have resources. They created a book, and so I decided to look into it. They also have a lot of free resources as well. So yeah, I went here, and pretty much all of these, anything they put out really, I was reading, studying a little bit, and I decided to order. I think this is the one, the fact book. Yeah, so I ordered a hard copy of the annual marijuana business fact book, and it's a pretty good book. It's definitely not something that you just read through from front to back. It's one of those kind of reference guides type thing, but provides a lot of information on the cannabis industry. I think it focuses on either North America or the United States. I think the United States, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, when I first uh, realized that there was a book, or found out about this book, and I saw the price, I was like, oh, there was a little bit of hesitation naturally, but there was that voice in the back of my mind stating that I had to invest in myself. So, that's what I did. And I definitely plan to uh, purchase updated versions of the book, and just to keep myself informed. Um, as far as the cannabis industry specifically, more specifically, as you conduct your research in the industry, within the industry, and especially your research of publicly traded companies, when you look at the numbers and evaluate, their financials and things like that, one thing you have to consider is how heavily, how heavily burdened these companies are in terms of taxes. And before I end this video, I just want to say that there's no possible way that the illicit market will go anywhere, especially considering the fact that these companies are heavily burdened with taxes. And of course, in the illicit market, there are no taxes. So you can get stuff at a cheaper price. Um, for the most part, these companies are capped at what they can charge in each category of product. So the name of the game is, how can we lower expenses as much as possible? So a big reason why some companies aren't profitable, they're not profitable because of the overall expenses that come with maintaining such a company. And a lot of companies are paying, up to like 70% of their profits in taxes. So it's very difficult to build a profitable business. Excuse me. It's very difficult to build a profitable business in the cannabis industry, with with having to navigate this kind of landscape. So keep that in mind as you take a look at the numbers and see how these companies are doing, how they're operating, how as you evaluate how management is uh, is performing. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, that should be the main thing that you should take into account, because a lot of these companies are crappy companies regardless of taxes. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions about cannabis industry, or you just want to inquire with me, feel free to hit me up. My email is lance@bhcapitalenterprises.com. BH Capital Enterprises LLC on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me there. Shoot me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a great weekend.